Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. Today we have something a little bit different that we're going to be doing. So I have been tasked by MSI and Nvidia to create a comparison video between the 1080 Ti, which I was originally using, as most of you guys know, to my now MSI Gaming X Trio 3080. So we're going to do a comparison between the two cards, and then we're going to talk about some stuff with Tarkov, and then we're going to talk about some results that we've seen in other games. So what you're going to see here is at the start, we're going to go over the 3D Mark results, which are insane. And then we are going to go over the user benchmark between the two setups. And then we are going to go and do a direct FPS comparison between the 1080 Ti on Tarkov and then the 3080 Gaming X Trio on Tarkov. Now, one thing I would like to say before we get into this, unfortunately, Tarkov isn't exactly the greatest game for comparing graphics cards. However, what I will say is the graphics settings that I'm using now with my 3080 are unbelievably ahead of what I was using originally. My game looks so much better. Not only that, but I've noticed I get a more consistent frame rate. Still not really sure of the science behind that, but my frame rate is definitely more consistent. And I definitely notice like less micro stutters and just, you know, jitteriness in general. This is most evident to me when I am ADSing with a scope, because as you guys know, when you ADS with a scope, you get massive frame rate drops. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into this right now. We're going to go over the 3D Mark results of the 3080 versus the 1080. So if you will just give me a moment. I'm just going to get my camera and throw it up here so it's out of the way. We're just gonna, we'll just leave it there. That's probably fine. So on the top right here, we have the 3080, the Gaming X Trio MSI card. And then on the bottom left, we have the 1080. So in the 3D Mark Time Spy tests, we essentially ended up with about 8,000 on the 1080 Ti and then 17,300 on the 3080. So that is a pretty damn significant difference. So yeah, it's pretty wild, the results we're getting here. And as you can see there, Battlefield 5 1440p ultra settings, we would be getting 170 FPS, and then down here, same game, Battlefield 5 1440p ultra, we would be getting 75 FPS. So 1080 versus the 3080, it's not looking so good for the 1080 so far. Now right here, we are going through the user benchmark tests. On the bottom left, we have the the MSI Gaming X Trio 3080. And then on the top right, we have the 1080 Ti. I don't know why I didn't just put everything for the 3080 on the bottom left. I do it for Tarkov. I did it backwards here for some reason, but look, it's fine. Not a perfect world, but you guys get the idea anyway. So the results are popping up here now for the 1080. As you can see, we get about 104% on the gaming. And then as far as the workstation test goes, or the desktop test go, we get 92%. And then, yeah, that's my 1080 there. Now, one thing I do want to say is that the 1080 Ti, it's a great card. Look, it's a great card. It served me well for 3 years. As you can see here in the benchmark, it's running at about 123%. There could be another 20% squeezed out of it, but it's an old card. It's kind of snookered. Still a great card, though, but it performed its best. You know, that card has done a lot of work for me. But as you can see down here on the bottom left, it gets absolutely stomped by the 3080. For gaming, we get 201%, desktop 98%, workstation 261%. I would also like to add in here, I haven't even overclocked my 3080 yet. It can be overclocked. I've just left it alone. It's just chilling. So I'm waiting for a couple of other people to test theirs first, and then I'm going to slap an overclock on it. When I know it's all safe and, you know, everything I can do with it is all fine and dandy, because I don't want to be the guy that fries his 3080 because I'm an idiot and don't understand how to overclock correctly. So I'm waiting for somebody else to do it to their card first, and then I'm going to do it to my own card. So here, as you can see, workstation 124% there as well, compared to 261% with the graphics cards being swapped out. So yeah, it's a bit of a stomp so far, for sure. Now, after this, we're getting into our reserve FPS tests. So, as we can see here on the bottom left, I'm getting about 90 FPS. And then on the right side, we're getting about 68 FPS. It jumps up to about the same here and there. As I was saying, it's a little bit difficult to compare these. There's about 10 FPS in the difference. And then once I ADS there, you can see the FPS just absolutely plummet up here. But on the bottom left, if you will pay attention to my graphic settings here, my texture settings are on high, shadow quality on medium. Now, the reason why shadow quality is on medium, because when you turn that up, it actually just dramatically tanks your frames. And I don't think it looks that good, so I leave mine on medium for the most part. And then down in the anti-aliasing, we're using TAA. Now, in the resampling, this is what I want to talk about. I'm using 2x super sampling. So I'm essentially like doubling the resolution of my game by having 2x super sampling on. Now, the only reason I am not using 4x super sampling, because believe it or not, it makes basically no difference to my FPS. In fact, sometimes when I turn on 4x super sampling, I get more frames. And I've talked to people about this. We don't really understand why. It's just one of those things. I guess it's because it's really using the graphics card instead of the CPU, but I like to leave it on 2x super sampling. Reason for this: I don't want my graphics card running at 100% all the time. When I have 4x super sampling on, my GPU tends to run, I've monitored this a decent bit when I first got it, it tends to run between 80% utilization and 100% utilization. I don't really want it up that high all the time because, I mean, I want to have this card for a long time. And I don't want to just have it, you know, super max 100% all the time. And the difference between 2x super sampling and 4x super sampling, yeah, it's a noticeable-ish difference, but I still think my game happens to look pretty good with 2x super sampling turned on. So I'm just, personally, I'm leaving it there. However, what I will say, you can, of course, run 4x super sampling, and it runs it like butter. Like, it's absurd. If I was to turn on those super sampling settings with my 1080 Ti, it would explode. Yeah, wouldn't be great. I also have HBAO set to medium, SSR set to medium, and the anisotropic filtering set to per texture, then sharpness at 0.7, and then the FPS stuff at the bottom doesn't matter because we've disabled the whole VSync thing via turning it off in the NVIDIA control panel, leaving it on in game, so we're uncapping our FPS in Tarkov, because that's the thing. And what I will say, I know I don't show the settings here, but basically everything on the 1080 Ti here is set to low. So basically it is set to be the most optimized for FPS possible on this side. I found it really funny when we were doing our test that when we actually set the settings to super low, the GPU wasn't being utilized whatsoever, and we were actually getting less frames. So I get more FPS by cranking my graphics settings on the 3080, which I just think is funny. I know it makes sense because Tarkov is a very CPU heavy game, and I do want to see how much more of an improvement I'm going to get when I get my new CPU. I'm currently either thinking about getting a 10900KS or the new 5950X AMD cards, or AMD CPUs, because I'm using a 3950X right now, which doesn't really favor like single core performance. So the processor I have right now doesn't really serve the 3080 like super well. You know what I mean? There'd be a better match. I would say go for something like an Intel with higher clock speed, lower cores, or maybe that new AMD one. I'm kind of waiting for more information to come out about it before I do it. But as you can see here, 90 FPS. And then I know I'm moving around on this side a little bit more, but I don't think this side's ever peaked up to 90 FPS. So as you can see, you know, scoping in there, we lose like 40 frames or 30 frames. And I think on the left side there, I actually turned on the 4x super sampling and then turned it back off. And we're basically still getting the same FPS because I'm laughing about it there. We're talking about it to chat. So with reserve, as you can see there, just want to point this out real quick. While I'm ADS, still getting 75 FPS here. Which is huge compared to the 1080. So I don't know why. I still don't know why this is, but the 1080, when you ADS, it is just stutter city and lockup city. But with the 3080, the Gaming X Trio 3080 by MSI, it's just a lot smoother and we get a lot less micro stutters and stuff like this. Probably because the GPU is doing so much work to keep the game just, you know, running consistently, I guess. And there we have it in all its glory. Up on the full screen with the double webcam. So I'm just going to disconnect from this right here, and here's my graphic settings again for those of you who are curious. So if you want to have a quick look at those, you can pause the video. Obviously I leave all this stuff at the bottom off I don't like chromatic aberrations. I don't like the noise. Tarkov's noisy enough as it is, especially when you hit a painkiller. Grass shadows, just nom your performance. Just get rid of them. Z-blur, I hate blur in general. I don't know why this is even an option in any video game ever, but leave Z-blur off. High quality color, I haven't really used this setting that much. I think I had it on the first day it came out and I didn't really like how much it looked. Or how it looked. It kind of made the game a little bit more vibrant. I kind of like it a bit more dark and dismal. I'm also wearing the same shirt. Look at that. What are the odds? On the same day I'm recording this. So that's why I leave all of that stuff on the bottom turned off. So yeah, those are the settings I'm running on the 3080 right now. And we're about to get into the next map here. But I think that's a fairly... the only reason why this isn't 100 plus FPS up here is because of my processor. I'm a little bit limited by my processor right now. So we should be getting into the next map here in just a second. I actually just rendered all of this and I said I'd do a commentary over it. It would probably be easier than like recording voice clips and then adding them in and re-rendering it or whatever. So I'm just recording this all in one go. So I hope this doesn't look terrible. I'd be kind of sad if it did. So maybe I'll just skip forward here a little bit. I think the next map we go to is Woods. Yeah, okay. So Woods, I'm not even sure why I bothered recording Woods. We get just an absolutely stupid amount of FPS. We peaked at like 150 here. And I just turned on 4x super sampling and we're still getting 115 FPS. So for whatever reason on reserve, when we turned it on and off, we didn't really lose anything. But on Woods, when we do it, we lose like 35 FPS, which is kind of strange. And then up here, you know, getting about 100 ADS in, but this shouldn't really be a surprise to anybody. Woods runs great. Pretty much regardless of what setup you have. Woods always runs well, even while you're ADS'd. So we're just chilling down bottom left with super sampling set to 4x. Just sitting on 115 FPS, you know, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. And then I think we switch it back down to 2x here. And you can see we're just climbed up another like 35 FPS. Now we're chilling at 150. So the 3080 does win out here, but not by a whole lot. You guys will see on Shoreline what I'm talking about when it comes to like the performance of these cards versus each other. Obviously, it's a stomp. The 3080 does so much better than the 1080 Ti does, especially when you crank the graphic settings. Like your game will just look so much better, no matter what kind of thing. But one thing I also wanted to say, just as another like kind of AAA title comparison, the couple of weeks ago I got sent a key by Nvidia for the new Call of Duty game. So we went and played that for a while, and I had my graphics settings all set to ultra. I had DLSS turned on, and I also had ray tracing set to ultra. The game looks absolutely phenomenal, but it also runs at a consistent 120 plus FPS. I never once dipped below 120 FPS, and I played a bunch of different maps. We played zombies, and oh my god, it felt like absolute butter to play. It was an absolute pleasure to play it. It was very, very nice. So here on the top right, looking over towards Ice Cream, you see you're getting about 120 FPS here. And then once we come up here on the 3080 side, we're actually going to have a peek over towards dorms, which is one of the harder places on customs to like render in that sight line. So we're getting about 100 FPS here, you know, give or take. Also, this is all done in offline raids for those of you wondering why. It gives you more consistent results. If you turn off the scavs and stuff, you don't have to worry about scavs being near you to kind of replicate the same results. So this is why we do all this benchmarking stuff in offline raids, because it's easier to replicate you know, scenarios. So I'm just looking over towards Ice Cream here, getting about 118. Here we're getting between 90 and 100 FPS, while we're looking over towards dorms. Looking across the bridge over here, we're getting about 80 FPS, 85 or so. And then obviously once we on ADS, we're getting a lot more. Now over on this side, we're now looking at the bridge, same spot, we're getting 130 FPS. And then looking over towards dorms on this side, as you can see, getting about 84 whilst we're ADS in there. So there's not really that much of a difference. So as you can see, it's a little bit of a nightmare to compare these two cards together on certain maps. But as you can see here, getting 113 and then 85 compared to over here, dropping down to 70 whilst ADS'd. The 3080 is still edging ahead, obviously with the higher graphic settings turned on as well, and with the luxury of being able to turn on 4x super sampling too to make your game look super great. So now here we are on Shoreline. Now Shoreline's a super weird one. Obviously, unfortunately, I didn't get the exact same weather, but I don't think this weather condition on the bottom left here with kind of the fog, maybe it'll affect it a little bit because the sight lines aren't quite as long. But standing in the same corners here, I'm getting about 122 FPS here, and then over here we're getting about 100. So maybe the fog has a little something to do with this here. I just couldn't get a clear day while I was trying to test this, and that's just how she be. So still getting about 100 FPS here on the bottom right or bottom left, and then up here we're getting about 70 whilst ADS'd out towards the kind of the sniper rock area, I guess. And then looking down towards the bus station here, we're getting about, we're dropping significantly now here under 70 for kind of the first time in a while. I wish I'd lined up these clips a little bit better because I'm running in different places in both these clips. I should have been a bit more methodical and scientific about it, but is what it is. As you can see here, we're kind of not really breaking a sweat, staying above 100 FPS here. When I'm actually in raid, about the minimum FPS I get in actual online raids is about 80. It will dip sometimes depending on where I'm standing and stuff, but usually I am getting a pretty consistent like 80 plus FPS. Whereas before in online raids on the 1080, given the day, given the servers, I was getting between anywhere from honestly like mid 40s to like 60 FPS. So it's been a pretty significant improvement in playing the game. It does feel a lot smoother, like an absurd amount smoother. And if you have a better CPU than me, which is more geared towards gaming rather than like content creation and editing and stuff like that, like you have an Intel, your performance will be even greater than what I'm experiencing here. So yeah, the MSI Gaming X Trio 3080 absolutely stomped the face off my little 1080 Ti, which was a great card for a long time, served me well, but it was time for an upgrade. And to be honest with you guys, if you are looking for a new graphics card, the 3060 Ti's just got announced. MSI is going to be making one of those. The 3070s, the 3080s, the 3090s. As far as like temps and performance and stuff like that goes, the 3080, the MSI Gaming X Trio 3080, it's chilling. I can throw pretty much whatever I want at it. The temperatures never get anywhere alarming. The fans are super quiet. You can still play Tarkov with 4x super sampling turned on, and it is just absolutely not an issue for the card. It doesn't care. You can throw whatever you want at it. And another thing I gotta say too is when Cyberpunk comes out in 8 days or some shit like that, I can't wait to see it. I need to also get a 1440p monitor before Cyberpunk comes out, because I feel like it would be a bit of a sin playing that shit without a 1440p monitor. So hopefully this answers your questions about how much of a performance increase you get between at least the MSI Gaming X Trio 3080 and the 1080 Ti that I had before. As I said in Call of Duty, there is no way in hell the 1080 Ti would have come anywhere near close to 120 plus FPS, all maps, everything set to ultra with DLSS turned on and ray tracing on ultra. It's absolutely absurd that we're getting to this point in gaming where we have cards that are like capable of just doing this stuff. Like, it's crazy. I also played Warzone as well the other night, just had everything cranked to max. Game felt like absolute butter. So you just rest easy in the fact that you can buy any of MSI's cards. They will be an absolute treat. Any of the 30 series cards will be an absolute treat for you to pick up. So before we end this video, I'd just like to thank everybody over at MSI, the guys over at NVIDIA. I appreciate you guys. You're beautiful. Thank you very much for choosing to support me. And obviously, guys, please make sure that if you're going to buy any computer products, make sure to check out MSI first. Check out their motherboards, their graphics cards, their cases, everything. They sell a lot of really, really awesome stuff. They support me, and I would like to support them back. And I appreciate you guys. You're beautiful. I love my graphics card, my new shiny graphics card. It's absolutely wonderful. And I apologize that I don't play a more AAA game as my main game and had to do the comparison on Tarkov. But hopefully people can see that there is a pretty substantial difference between the 1080 Ti and the 3080 Gaming X Trio card when it comes to Tarkov as well. And I'm sure someday, whenever they make it so that the game is a little bit more optimized towards running on a GPU rather than a CPU, we will see absolutely ridiculous results. So here's hoping someday we get ray tracing in Tarkov. I guess. I don't know, but lads, thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like, leave a comment down below. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. What else? TikTok. I'm on TikTok now. I'm doing that. And also make sure to check out MSI on their socials as well. Make sure to go give them a follow because they're beautiful people. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed the comparison video. and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out, my friends.